So please provide your details. We will start the class in a bit moment. Let's wait for another few minutes for others. So I hope everyone for Azure BA Data Factory, anyone is looking for the Power BI or Azure MSBA SQL, that will be another sessions and will be taken by some other source. This is purely on Azure.
Yeah, I'm looking for Azure BI. My name is Suresh.
Yeah, hi Suresh. These are the content that we are going to discuss in detail level. These are the topics. In detail, we are going to discuss each module, different stories. Each module have a different, again, submodules, subtopics. Okay. This is one of the module called Azure SQL. Inside Azure SQL, we have multiple instances.
So, are you going to cover SSRS as well as part of Azure Data Factory?
Yes, definitely. We will be covering in detail 1 week, 1.5 weeks classes will be there on SSIS, because this is very important when we go to the data factory. So data factory is a tool is developed on top of SSIS. So you need to know the history of data factory, how it was designed, how it was came in the market on advanced, what was the earlier tool. So SSIS advanced tool is data factory. So you need to know detailed information because there are some projects which is going on from SSIS to data factory, support projects, migration projects. So we need to know about SSIS. Then only you can able to work on migrations. So
No.
normally
What about SSRS? SSRS is also covered as part of this.
SSRS we
Because
won't cover because this is something like a kind of reporting side. So SSRS is a we can consider in the Power BI side. So when you are learning Power BI, then you need to know the history of the Power BI. So is something, the reporting tool. On top of that, it is designed as Power BI. So here SSIS is one of the module which is designed on top of this, the data factory. So we are only covering ETL module here that has a part of data engineer.
Okay.
So please share your details. I didn't get your details, only I received Shiva details. So I have planned this 2 classes. Today I'll just go through some basic, and tomorrow a purely a kind of practical session where I can show you how it is working from, or how it is different from on-premises to the cloud. Okay, there are some portals that we need to know the Azure portal. There are two portals. One is azure.com. Other one is portal.azure.com. There are two portals. With these two portals, we will be working. So to start with your Azure, we need to go through this azure.com where you can create your Azure account. To practice, no other tools are required. This is completely a cloud-based tool. So if you want to work with Azure, you just require three things. One is system, one is account, one is internet. So that you can start your own projects. So Microsoft giving you a free account, which is something around 200 USD dollars. With that, you can purchase any kind of licensed softwares. So in on-premises, if you want to install anything, you required to be purchased as softwares. Either the standard editions, either the enterprise editions, either the free editions. So you need to manually or physically you have to install in your on-premises. But Microsoft come across as a platform where you can install without any physical infrastructure requirement. So at backend, Microsoft is going to take care about your installation process. So you need to just feel like a pro. So here, before going to this, there is a account creation. There are 2 to 3 types of account Microsoft providing you to practice, to go through as a marketing perspective, or we can practice with this free account, which is going to give you 1 month free trial, that is around 30 days, which is help you with the 200 USD dollars. After that, sir, a course is around 2 months. How we can practice with this 30 days duration? So how to use that further things we'll discuss in the regular class. For time being, if you want to practice, you can use this free account. So just click on get started with Azure. It will guide you how to create the accounts. So we have a step-by-step material, how to create, how to process with a screenshot in detail information. Okay, so you don't need to worry. We're going to help you with all the details. Okay, with a screenshot, with a step-by-step process, even the document. Previously, what was the storages? Currently, what is the storages? In detail document with definition you have. But a good practice is always follow live sessions so that you will get more interactive things and you can define your own definitions while going for interviews. So if you read just one line, that's not enough. Interviewer will not just ask for one line. When you know the topic, you can elaborate in detail level. Otherwise, that interviewer also will start asking the next questions. So there are some tricks that we are going to discuss in going further classes. Don't worry about that. So we have a document for creating installation. Even I'll show you how to create the installation process. We'll see step by step. It requires some personal information. How to use, we can connect one-to-one, or I can take in the class from where you can start the creation of account. So initial days, we don't require this account creation 1 or 2 weeks because we are going to work on groundwork. That means basic we will be working either the SQL or some SSIS model which involved the on-premises tool. Okay, then purely we'll jump into the Azure portal. Okay, so once you create this free account, once you click on this, it will ask you to create or enter some your personal data. That means when you create a Gmail account, how you going to enter some personal data? The same thing when you click on try for free, it give you some personal data. It requires some your Gmail account or Outlook account. Then only you can enter into this and provide the creation account. Okay. So once it is done, you will be logging under this portal. There is a portal.azure.com. This is a purely cloud platform. So your entire development, migration, support, everything will do under this portal. Only one URL, portal.azure.com. This is the home page. And these are the recent services, or you can say softwares. Generally, we don't say as the softwares, we say the services or the resources. So SQL Server is also a service. Storage account is also a service. Data lake account is also service or resource. So there is no physical involvement here. Everything is virtually. You are sitting in on behalf of this one, and we are working or installing somebody at backend. They are taking caring about your all installations. You are just filling like a form. If you want to create any sort of storage account, we'll just click on storage account. We'll provide the details. Click on create, provide the details, and perform. Okay. There are some basic mandatory fields you need to understand, and this is a common completely for Azure, and it is similar like your AWS. So currently in the market, we have only three cloud providers which is in competitions. One is like Microsoft, no doubt. Other one is Amazon Web Services. Third one is Google Cloud Provider. So compared to this other cloud provider, your Azure is very user friendly product. Microsoft always try to develop such products which user friendly to all technical or non-technical people. You take any sort of product which comes from the Microsoft, their design in that way is like it should be a user friendly to all. It doesn't mean like only if this is created only the technical people has to use. No, even the non-technical people also easily can able to understand and grab these opportunities or can able to work. So they'll design in that way. Even you take SQL Server, MSBI product, Power BI products, other services in Azure as a user-friendly products. Yes, there are some few things that you need to understand, and then we can use that. Okay. So here, this is the account. Before going to account, we need to understand why we required account, why we required as a services. Okay. So definitely we will be creating a services, but for what we are required data factory, for what we require database, for what we required the storages account. Storages account, we can understand, okay, storing some whatever the data, your images, photos, like how you save in your Google Drive. The same way we store in the storages account. So earlier, the one which we are working in on-premises, that on-premises is only follow the structured data. Mostly it follow as a structured data. But nowadays, the data we cannot predict from a different applications are coming with a structure, with a semi-structure, with unstructure. So whatever the data that you have as a data engineer, we need to build ourselves to process the data into a proper information. So that information we are going to send it through in a form of reports. In a form of report to whom? To the business users or owners of that company or users, end users, whoever it is. Why we are sending this report to? They will take business decisions. Is all about taking the business decisions to make these business decisions. we required some report that comes from the information, that information in a form of different data, different structures, different format, different sources. It may be from on premises, it may be from different cloud, it may be from Oracle, it may be from Microsoft, it may be anywhere. Applications, API URL, REST URL. So our role, our job is to process the data from wherever it is, whatever the flow it is. End of the day, we need to design the data in a proper information, proper understanding information in a proper way that easily can able to understand. So that basis on that, the companies, basis on that, the end users will take the decisions. So nowadays there is a mandatory, there is a BA developers are required. Any company you go, without data analyst, without BA developer, there is no end user decisions. So to get the end user decisions, even the reporting developers are dependent on data engineer. Report developers are dependent on data analyst. See, they also a part of data analyst. We cannot say they are completely data analyst. They design reports. They are not going to do any sort of data validations, or they cannot do the, just they will follow some data models. They will uh, develop some visualizations and they will send it to the end users. End of the day, if the data is not correct, who is responsible? If the data is not corrected, they will come to the reports. Report developers will come to us if the data is not correct, if the data is missing. So nowadays also, when you go for interviews without having ETL knowledge, data engineer concept knowledge, there is no job for the report developers. Currently in India, that is, I don't know about the other countries, but currently in India, we are having dependency. Even though if you go for report developers, they must know the knowledge, basic knowledge on the ETL, either the SSIS on-premises ETL, whether it is a data factory, whether it's Informatica, data stage, ODI, whatever it is. But they must know basic knowledge on ETL. So currently in India, in the data engineer process, we are more dependent on data factory, pipelines development, pipelines development. In terms of new development, in terms of support, in terms of migration. These are the current running requirements in India. So we required the developers who work on data factory. That is what we have a separate sessions on data factory specifically. We are providing data factory. See, data factory is a service. We have a lot of topic inside data factory. It is a completely ETL development. It is a completely ETL development. So data engineer is a big process. uh, Many things are come under the data engineer process. It comes all the storages, it comes all the services and build as a data engineer process. Data factories also come inside data engineer process. Some developers, they just want this module because they are currently working as experience. They are currently working in the ETL module. They just want to migrate their upskills, or they are already working in SSIS. They are already working in Informatica. They are already working in data stage. They are already working in the ODI. So they want to upgrade the skills into the data factory, or maybe they have requirements. That is what we're going to take separate sessions on data factory. So data engineer process, we have a certification from Microsoft, that is DP 203 certification. That is for data engineer process. Before DP 203, we also have some basic associate, basic fundamentals. Those certifications also you have to cover. So when you go with this course, you completely going through fundamentals, basics, and data engineer process under this one. Okay. So to start with this, we required this account. Before that, we need to understand why we required this process, what we required, why Azure only, why cloud only. These are the questions. Why can't we do in the on-premises? Why only we are looking for the cloud? Okay, so after this, the pandemic, COVID, almost from 2019, I guess, 18 or 19. From that year, the cloud was growing, and it is like almost all the companies are adapted. So it like rapidly moving into the cloud. The people want to work from home. It's not only that reason, there are many infrastructure we can avoid. Infrastructure pricing we can save. So instead of saving or instead of physically maintaining infrastructure, making a cost cutting infrastructure, separate team is required, dedicated IT team is involved, dedicated storages teams are required. So a lot of things are there when we do with on-premises infrastructure. The same kind of setup is providing by Azure in a form of cloud. So whatever the service you required, we will help you with that service. And you need to pay as you go. There is a subscription called pay as you go. The currently which we are using the subscription called pay as you go. So this subscription which provides you as you go based on your usage, how much you going to use, you have to pay that much amount. Pay as you go. So not only for this service, there are many other services based on either the fixed pricing, either the hourly basis, either the particular services wise we have an amount. So any storages, any service you take in Azure, there will be a pricing, no doubt. If you take database also, there will be a pricing. So generally, when you want to design some database or installation database in your on-premises, when you want to install SQL Server, what you do generally, you require set a file, right? You require set a file, you required download. First, you need to download the setup file, you need to extract it, and that is the different editions we have. This is not a enterprise, this is a free. So you need to go through each and every steps, standalone machines. You need to take care about all the softwares to be updated on to date and up to date. If it is not there, then you need to install your frameworks, firewall settings. These are the steps. So you need to take care about each and every step. Currently in on-premises, we use the free editions, evaluations is up to max is around 180 days, 3 to 6 months. Otherwise, in real time, we use product key. In real time, we purchase a software from that company and we pay the amount. Even though if they're 2 3 months project, it is very difficult to purchase that enterprise license. After that, the project is not there. It is very difficult to again roll back. So you need to wait for the coming projects, then that license can be used over there. You cannot sell in OLX or any other platform that softwares if you don't have any sort of projects. Even though you use or don't use for support, you have to pay to the Microsoft. There is a contract. So you need to pay, even though you use or you don't use to the Microsoft, you have to pay. So these are the details that we have, and we only use as a free editions. in on-premises. In companies, yes, definitely we use the enterprise based on the client request and we charge accordingly. Okay, a lot of things are there, which services are required, what we required, standalone machines. You need to set up all everything instances. Okay, so many steps are there, but in Azure Cloud, it is not about only steps, it's about how easy we can use, how easy a backend is going to process, how frequently we can change the database to database or server to server, and easily we can manage. In an on-premises, if you observe, you are installing in the C drive. Generally, softwares are installed in C drive, right? But in the cloud, we don't know where it is storing. If you observe in your Google Drive also, you store up to 15 GB data, whether it is images, document, files, whatever it is. You are not sure where it is saving the data. That is backend Google will take care. But 15 GB they are providing you in the cloud. That is virtually you are accessing. Here in your on-premises, the drawback is if you have your C drive also 500 GB, after 500 GB, if your data is more and you need to increase more 400 or 300 GB or 200 GB, how are you going to increase? You cannot uninstall the existing softwares. It is not the correct. You cannot uninstall the existing softwares to release the space for 200 GB. If you have completely full, you are start failing your applications. It start failing your applications, whatever your applications are there in terms of SQL Server, in terms of database or any other applications, it start failing it because of space issues. Until unless you free up the space, you cannot go for the insertions or anything. You require 200 GB. So what you can do, the external disk, you can put external disk, you can move your data. A lot of activities are going to involved. And that is also we are not sure whether our system will support that infrastructure when we increase our space in the drive. So many lot of challenges like directly we cannot, it required many approval, it required many observations, it required monitoring. A lot of things are there in on premises, which is completely a cost involvement. Okay, if you ask to the senior developer just to monitor, he will not monitor. His work is to development. Whatever you develop, he with the other users will monitor, other employees will monitor that. If you ask that person to make a cost cutting or to just monitor to these things, they will not do that work. So a lot of things are there in on premises. But in the cloud, in very simple, in just one page, in one steps, we can install the SQL Server. And you no need to worry about that storages. How much you want, you can increase or you can decrease the space, the storage's capacity. Whether you require 2 GB, whether you require 100 GB, it's a scaling and scale down process. Scaling and scale down process. So there are some mandatory fields we need to understand first. So ongoing, I'm going to explain you what is resource group, what is the database, sorry, what is the server, what is a subscription. These are the important mandatory fields. So I'm going to explain you in detail level going further. So for time being, I'm just using resource group. So it's very big topic again. So we need to understand first before going for any service, we need to understand subscription, we need to understand the resource group. Okay. So because of here, I'm not showing or not saying about these topics. We're going to see under the classes. Okay. So my database name is customer database under one server called Vinay Tech SQL Server. That's it. Your server is ready. Where your location, where you're physically you're installing in the location called East US. So there are many locations wherever you required, you can install. So it is not like wherever you feel, wherever I stay, I'll install in that location. No. This is completely based on your company tie-up with that particular location with a Microsoft billing. So your applications is designed on particular nearby East US location, then you have to select all your process, all your services or resources under that location East US. Okay. If your application is some West US, so you have to use only West US. So generally, when you go with Azure process, there will be a knowledge transfer, there will be a KT in the real time when you go with experience. So they will explain what is our storages, where is the storages, which data like we use, which is the production, which is the testing environment. This all they will give you in the KT. This is all we are going to see in our regular classes. Basis on that, it will be easy for your knowledge transfer when you go into the company. Okay. Based on that SharePoints, they have SharePoints, they will see some documents, KT documents. They will return that we need to use only this particular location. If you use any other location, then that will be going to fail your deployments. So, but for time being, for free account, wherever you required, you can use it. If you required on a particular location, you can use East US. If you require some other location, you can use it. If you require some West US, you can use it. But in real time, there will be a particular location only you need to select. Okay. So if you observe here in on-premises, we was going to give user ID and password. See the passwords, admin password. The same way we will be providing here as a password. So this is my Vinay admin user and password. I'm providing something like this. Click OK. Your project is ready, your database name is ready, the server name is given, location is given, development and production server you can select. But here in on-premises, if a production is completely different. Development, we don't use those many securities on development. We don't provide those many access controls. But here you have same level. Production is different, development is different, and the possibilities here also, pricings also will different. When you go development, the pricing will be different. So here the pricing will be completely different from on-premises to the this one. So there are different pricing here. As I told you, in on-premises we have a scale in and scale down here. So how much GBs you required, you can increase easily. How much TVs are required, you can increase easily. But in on-premises, as I told you, it is very difficult to increase your C drive 500 GB to 1 TB. And even if you increase also even if you increase, it is very difficult to manage that infrastructure. But here, even you create now 40 GB also, later you can change to 20 GB or 30 GB. It is a scale in and scale down process. Scale in and scale down process. If this is not sufficient, there are high premiums where it involved up to TBs. Okay. So before going to this service, we'll understand why we require this service. Anyone know why we require these databases? Why we require database? Why can't we directly store in the files? Why
Yeah,
can't
we need to save the data, right? I mean, like whatever the data, whatever we develop.
data we can save under the files as well. Data we can
Right.
save in the data lake as well.
Most likely the structured data, right? SQL Server is mainly meant for structured data. wherever we required. I'm like,
Correct. This is structured data. So 1 day data, 2 day data, you can store in your data lakes or in some other storages. So 1 day data, 2 day data, you can store in some data lakes. But in some process, let me show you the other pictures. So on daily basis, we get a data from a different sources. Okay, we get the data from the different sources. It is very difficult to hold the data in your particular data lake. Okay, again in data lake we have different modules, staging module, EDW layer module, then dimensions modules, different storages we have. So if time being, if you're not able to understand this one, just go with a simple example. Then we'll move to other examples. Whatever data come from the source, we cannot hold this data in a form of CSV or TXT files. On daily basis, we get a millions and trillions data. Millions and trillions data we get on daily basis. So that millions and trillions data, it is not possible to show last 30 days. If you take, even if take 1 million per day, 30 millions for 1 month, it is very difficult to show the data in the reports. So that can be easily processed by using your ETL module, by designing or extracting whatever data it comes into the database. In cloud, we are using Azure SQL database. In on-premises, we are using SQL database only. It is completely a different from on-premises to the cloud. So in on-premises, whatever the applications come that we save in our drive, G drive, D drive, whatever, or FTP drive in on-premises. But here, either we store in the storages account like your blob storages or file share storages or data lake storages. In data lake also, we have Gen 1 and Gen 2 process. Currently, Gen 1 account is completely decommissioned, that is removed. We have only Gen 2 process. As I told you, the data may come from different applications. So this is something called, it may be come from API REST. It may come from the small applications. It may come from the other applications, developed application, online, offline, whatever it is. The data may come from different applications, or data may come from the on-premises. This is the on-premises. They are maintaining the data in the SQL database. So you are responsible to extract from wherever data comes, from wherever applications comes. You need to process in a proper structure way, so that will be easy for the reporting developers to design to visualizations those data in a form of different visualizations, different graphs, different reports. Otherwise, if I give 30 million records to the Power BI developer, they may not do that. How they can store in a Power BI also, sir, we can store here, we store the data. No, you use the data for your own reporting. Up to 1 GB you can store. If I give you millions and trillions, it is very difficult for them also. That is what they always present the data, the aggregations data they design, aggregation summary data they design. Because end of the day, the users also, they will only see high level information. They never see which transactions process which user. They want data year wise, month wise, day wise, product wise, services wise. They want to see the data or revenue. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for them also to present the. Okay, so that is the reason we required database to be came into the picture, or intermediate is required to stage the data here. From the database, we can go to the data warehouse. From the data warehouse, we can go to the again data marts. From the data marts, we can go to the summary databases. So in the next class, I'm going to show you the example, practical example, how to design with all the services. With all the services, practically, we'll see this picture in the next class. Okay, so many people came joined late. So whoever is joined late, please provide your details in the chat box. I'm going to share you the today's recording and the documents so that you can attend tomorrow's class with the same link. So please join on time in 8 a.m. early morning. We will be starting a new batch. Okay, so coming to my background. So already I'm currently working in one of the company called Digitron. I'm having almost 10 years of experience into IT. I worked for Wipro. I worked for IBM. Currently, I'm working as assistant manager. I'm handling two teams. In that, APAC and EMEA region is there, where I was currently working on telecommunication projects and Azure project. Okay, so this is completely started with SQL, then MSBI. We have involved is Power BI, the SSRS involvement, SSIS involvement, and now it is a data factory involvement, which is completely Azure data engineer process. Okay, so this is completely every process we have automated.